Hey everyone, what's going on? It's Donovan here. Thanks for tuning in again. Today's video we're going to be talking about the 3 best lists for wholesaling and real estate. They're just my personal picks. There's many others that are fantastic to use. The criteria that I'm basing these on is either ease of finding them and obtaining the list, and also cost efficiency. So I want it to be something that's cost effective, that's not going to cost a bunch of money compared to some lists that, can definitely cost money and, take some hoops to jump through. It's just going to be my top 3, my personal top 3 that I personally like the most. Like I said before, there are many lists that you can definitely acquire and use that are fantastic, but these are just going to be my top 3 picks. So my very first one, going deep into it, the very first one, always number 1, is driving for dollars. Now, what driving for dollars is essentially you get in your car, you drive around a block, neighborhood, zip code, whatever, in your town, your city, and you notate addresses of distressed properties. And now with those properties, you take those addresses and you either can mail them a postcard, you can door knock them, you can cold call them, right? But what the purpose is, the gist is you're looking for tall weeds, grass, overgrown shrubbery. You're looking for houses that have boarded up windows, notices on their doors, on their windows. That could be like white papers, the neon yellow and orange, code violations sometimes. Cars that have been parked for years, looks like they got flat tires and just cobwebs, fire damage, anything like that. Definitely notate if there's like roof damage that you can see from the exterior. Even like if the AC looks like it's ready to catch fire, those types of things. If it's really outdated, you can't tell if somebody is actually living in the house. Definitely notate those addresses, and what you want to do is look up the owner's information through your tax assessor's website or your like the tax office, and find out who the owners are, and then you can reach out to them that way, find the mailing address that way, and then mail them. Like I said, if you want to do like the direct mail, you can send them like postcards or little handwritten letters you can do, and let them know that you're interested in giving them a cash offer for their home. And the other option is you can take the same addresses, send it to a company that will skip trace them and give you back phone numbers, and then you can go ahead and cold call them. That's what I personally do. So first list, not to get too deep into the nitty-gritty, but if you want to know more about the nitty-gritty, how to get the numbers, how to do all that, let me know down below in a comment. I can make a video on that, and my resources that I use, my favorite skip tracing resources, and maybe I can dive deep into a couple lists if you'd like. So number 1, driving for dollars. Number 2 is going to be a tax default list. Now what tax default list is it's going to be a list of property owners that are delinquent on their property taxes, right? So usually your county or your jurisdiction for your town has a record of all the properties and the property owners who haven't paid property taxes in the last year or longer. Okay, and with property taxes, usually you're going to want to look at people or homeowners that have not paid their taxes in 2 years or more, right? Now the reason that is because oftentimes if it's only been a year since they haven't paid taxes, sometimes those owners will catch up and they'll pay in full. I know in my county, in Tucson, Pima County, they don't accept partial payments. So if someone was backed up on taxes for a year, it's a lot easier to pay that lump sum, right, than if they had to pay a lump sum of 2 years or longer. So just the kind of like a little nugget there. You can certainly look at addresses that are, backed up, just a year, but I prefer to stick with the 2 year or more because the motivation to sell will be higher. There's going to be more distress involved. And of course, that's, as wholesalers, the types of properties we're looking at. There may be other issues as well. Likely, if the taxes aren't getting paid, it could be that it's because maybe they ran out of funds, or maybe it's an inherited property, or it's going through probate, and it just hasn't been upkept, or whatever the case is. But tax default list is good. My second list that I would recommend looking into, this list can be acquired through various online sources, such as like Repo Gateway, and I think Agent 24/7 or Agent Pro 24/7, I believe is what it's called. But those do cost a monthly subscription. I haven't used them, so I wouldn't be the best source to comment on how they are, but you can certainly get them online through those sources. Agent Pro 24/7, I believe it's called, and Repo Gateway. I know Repo Gateway charges a monthly fee as well as a setup cost. It's about $50 a month, and then there's a one-time setup fee, which is a few hundred, I believe. But I would recommend go down to your tax assessor's office, for your county or your jurisdiction, and just ask them, about the delinquent taxes, or their delinquent tax roll or tax default data, and just let them know you're looking to acquire that. And usually, if they're nice, they'll not beat around the bush, and they'll give it up to you. And sometimes you can grab it for free. In my county, they actually do have a fee for it, but it's a $50 fee, and I get all the data on a CD. I can either get it on a CD or a login through their portal online. So I'm actually in the car right now, and I'm gonna go head downtown to grab that CD with all the records, and I'm expecting there to be a few thousand records on there. So for minimum cost of $50, I'm gonna go grab that. It's got thousands of records, cheaper than Repo Gateway, of course, and this is gonna be really, really authentic, really accurate, right? Because it's from the source, right? It's from my county tax assessor's office, right? The treasurer's office, excuse me. So Repo Gateway, yeah, they get the information, from the local jurisdictions and such, but there is a time delay, right, between the time it's published to the time Repo gets it. Plus, you've got the monthly fee going through them. But of course, that's all up to you if the funds allow it, and ease of convenience. If you're in multiple markets, definitely, check out Repo for sure. I've heard only great things about them, and I've looked into them myself. But for right now, as far as cost-effective marketing goes, I'm gonna go downtown, grab that CD, come back, and skip trace, the addresses and such, and get phone numbers back, and I'm gonna cold call them. Okay. So number 2, that is the tax default list. All right, and going with number 3 now, top 3. Number 3, that one is going to be the absentee owner with high equity. Absentee owner list with high equity. And there's many videos on YouTube you can search up, how to find the absentee owner high equity lists on resources such as you can do list source, listability is another one. There's a couple out there, a couple list providers that you can go on to. You can even you may be even able to ask around for a local real estate agent and see if they can pull that kind of data for you. But honestly, what I'd recommend, just go on to list source, look for absentee owner high equity, usually between, I would say, minimum 50% equity and higher, so 50 to 100% equity in that house, absentee owned, and you don't have to put purchase date, of course. If they got half equity in the house, doesn't really matter if they bought it today. I mean, of course it does matter that, but if they bought it in the last 5 years, and they have half equity, that could be a landlord, of course. And if there's a tired landlord, that's what we're targeting on this one, is usually target landlords in this one. people that own properties, right, but don't live inside them. So that's the absentee owner high equity list, right? So if the house is worth $300,000 and they have 50% equity, so they only owe about $150,000 on a property that's worth $300,000. So for wholesalers, we contact that homeowner, whether it's occupied by a tenant or it's vacant, which could also be the case. We know going in there that they're at least going to have, half of the house's value in equity, as far as to tie it up to sell. So, there's definite room to, to make some money and, to help out the property owners if they are indeed looking to sell. Worst case scenario, you reach out to these landlords and, they may be cash buyers, so you can definitely add them to your cash buyers list and see if they're looking for more properties, of course. If they're looking to add to their portfolio, find out what, what they're looking for, bed, bath, type of square footage. They're looking for single family, condos, commercial, etc., things like that. So it's really a win-win type of list. It's definitely a great list to start with as far as training to get used to, especially if you're going to be cold calling like I do. Absentee owner is probably the best one to start with, just to get used to that whole process, because the people tend to be, a little bit nicer on the phone oftentimes than calling more distressed lists. But in order to keep this video short, those are my 3 lists. Number 1, driving for dollars. Number 2, tax default. Number 3, absentee owner with high equity. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this little quick top 3 video. If you got any questions, comments, or concerns, leave them down below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I'll try to respond to every single comment down below. If you've got questions on how to do this, where to find the things, who to reach out to, or anything that I mentioned and you need a little bit of clarification, just let me know down there. And be sure to like the video if you enjoyed it and you found any value in it. Subscribe, because I'm going to be doing some more videos like this, off the cuff, raw, unedited, on a weekly basis. And don't miss any of my content. You can follow my social links down below. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube here, of course, and my Facebook as well. Until next time, guys, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Go out there and crush it. Remember, we're already living a miracle, so go out there and act like it. Take care.